Happiness is freedom. Freedom is having the choice to spend your time doing things that inspire you. Most people want freedom, but many people don't have a clear objective, a roadmap, or a strategy to achieve it. Everyone deserves to live an inspired and free life. I believe that when we're free and able to focus on our most meaningful work, we simply become better human beings. We can give more, care more, support more, and love more. I'm an investor, a trader, and an entrepreneur, and I get to spend every day doing what I love. At the age of 29 years old, I became financially free, and since then my mission has been to help and inspire other people to achieve the same so that they can be more of who they really want to be. Always Free is about having a free mind, being free to question the status quo, free to take risks, free to say no, free to say yes, free from social idealisms, opinions and beliefs, free to disobey, and free to wake up every day and spend your time to make a difference that inspires you. You can have it all. Living a life designed by you isn't a stroke of luck or a result of circumstance. It's a choice. So if you want to learn how to become free and live an inspired life, join me for the #1 show for financial empowerment and wealth creation as I share my insights, tips, strategies and advice on what allowed me to be always free. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jason Graystone.
Well, welcome back to the show, guys. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you've had a nice week so far. How's everyone doing? I've had a busy week this week. We've been running the trader show. We did the 3-day Red Zone Resilience event, which was designed for traders. So I was speaking there, wrapped up a wealth strategy session with my guys, and now we're into the show. Also, the podcast went out earlier. So it's been a pretty hectic one. Appreciate you tuning in. Couldn't run the show. We had some technical glitches last week that stopped me being able to run the show in Portugal, but we're back. And Portugal was great. Everyone seemed to enjoy the what's it called? The thing. And it was great. It was well received. The vlog that I ran whilst we were doing the property show over there, that was all good. So it's good to be back. Hopefully you're doing well. Last show we was talking about 10 questions. If you're here, by the way, just let us know. Last time we were talking about the 10 questions. I walked you step by step through the 10 questions. And this week I want to elaborate on that a little bit. I want to start delving into each of those 10 questions and really showing you how each of those components and giving you strategies for each of those components so that you can work on them to inevitably move towards financial freedom. Okay, so good to have you all back. Evening, Andrew. Evening, Yogan. Who we got? Chrissy. Liam. How you all doing? Wannabe Gardener. Hello, Michael. How you doing? So thanks for everyone that watched the vlogs. We've got great feedback on the Portugal vlogs. If you're not aware of what's going on there, I'm going to be sharing much more insight onto that project. It's a 40 to 50 million euro development that we're involved with over in Portugal, and I'll be sharing more and more insights with you guys in that. But as I said, today I want to talk about the 10 questions in a little bit more detail. I'm going to start breaking through each of those questions. I'm going to give you strategies for each one. All right. Now, before I get into that, who did the 10 questions? Who honestly did it? Give us a yes in the chat here. Evening, Joseph. Evening, Edgar. Who actually took the time to go through those 10 questions and do them properly? Amazing. Buzzer did. Dan did. Great. Good stuff. Neil did. Eye-opening? Depressing? What was the verdict there? Robbie did. Awesome. What was the verdict? Inspiring? Eye-opening? Depressing? Jamie did it. I tell you what, there's a hell of a lot of craziness going on in the markets right now. I've seen more people go into the retail trading space than ever before. And over the last 18 months, there's actually been an influx of people going into the retail trading space, not knowing what they're doing, And funny enough, since about January, it's declined. And the reason it's declined is because everyone got burnt. They got into it realizing, actually, this is a bit trickier than I thought. And they hadn't done the numbers. They didn't have realistic expectations. And what you end up with is just something where you're just peeing in the wind. You don't know what you're going after. You've got no plan. And it was all a complete waste of time and money, because you blow your money and now you've got to make the money to get back to then be in a position to start doing it again. And what most people do is they go through this process over and over and over again before actually going, do you know what? There's a bit more to this. I need to get a bit more education on this before I start going into that again. And you'll be surprised how much that happens. Anyone else get burnt? Yep, that's me, got burnt. Eye-opening, missed the 10-question challenge. Michael, if you go back to last week's episode, you can watch the recording and it'll be there. Who did the wealth test? Who did the wealth test from last week? Did anyone do the wealth profile test? And let me know how you got on that. Let me know what your score was. If you went and done that, that was a big eye-opener as well. That would give you a full blueprint there on what to focus on, some strategies to focus on as well. But as I say, there's a lot of craziness. I was over in Portugal and people were telling me over there about crypto and Dogecoin and all these kind of to-the-moon stocks and all this kind of stuff, AMC. They're still looking at all these kind of stocks and really just hoping and praying on Twitter that someone's going to tweet something that's going to make a stock go up. And I can promise you that that is not a sustainable way of making money. All right. On top of that, we've got all of these people kind of neglecting the timeless stuff, the stuff that's there, that's solid, that's going to produce you with a lot of opportunities and exponential growth when it comes to your wealth curve, when it comes to growing your wealth. S&P 500, we're looking at the whole market there. And what we're seeing at the moment, by the way, guys, is we're currently trading about 12.8% above the long-term mean growth of that market. Now, what that means is you want to be a little bit cautious. So my guys in TOF, they know what they're doing. They know that they're holding back some of their deposits and they're saving that cash for a potential crash. And they know what they're doing. They're sophisticated, they're strategic, they know what they're doing. They've got their head screwed on, they're neutral in emotion because they're not being swung around by all this craziness. They know their numbers, they know what they're doing, and they're not being affected by any of this craziness that's going on out there. Fill in the kitty, absolutely. Right. But anyway, it's everywhere. It's like a epidemic in itself. This whole, I've called it influencer trading. Influencer trading, which is mad, right? You're picking investments and trades and stocks based on some kind of influencer or some kind of tweet that's gone out, which is not a sustainable way to make money. I promise you that, right? But I was speaking to someone in Portugal and we was talking about, they were one of these people that had kind of got a little bit burnt, right? And they were having a loss. They'd had this big loss. And his opinion was, well, it's not that bad taking a loss because I can talk to other people about it. And, you know, I don't have to feel bad like I'm showing off because I know some family members that lost and I know some friends that lost. And it makes it easier for me to fit in and talk to them about it because I lost money. And I thought, what a crazy, crazy perspective. You would rather be losing and rather have negative things happening to you just so it makes it easier to fit into conversations and not making people feel out of place because you've done well and they haven't. And I think that's a real trap. And I want to talk a little bit about that because I see that happen a lot. I see people try to dim down or dim their light to stop making other people feel inferior. All right? Now that is not your job to do that. Your job, money is one of the biggest taboos out there. And the biggest taboo comes from not being able to talk about it because we don't want to look like we're doing okay. We don't want to look like we're doing good. And I mentioned this in the first episode. Evening, Thomas. Don't even know what time it is. But he said, it's all right losing money because now I can muck in with the conversation. And I just thought, this is crazy, because that attitude and that desire to want to fit in by not progressing and having something in common with someone who's down and out, and they can just relate to that, and that is going to hold you there. That is going to keep you there, because every time you start to have progress or succeed, you're going to start feeling uncomfortable because you won't be part of that conversation anymore. Now, I don't know about you guys, but who here knows of a certain group of people, whether it's friends or family or someone else, who tend to have the same conversations every single time that you see them? Give us a yes if you know a group of people, whether it's friends, family, associates, colleagues. Every time you talk, it's the same conversation coming up time and time and time again. And it's like they've got this set script that they go through. Right, we've got to discuss that, and it has to be negative. We have to discuss that, and it has to be negative. Have to discuss this bit, and it has to be negative. And, money, too fat, right? All this kind of stuff, debts, COVID, all the same conversations. And it's like Groundhog Day. Anyone else? Anyone else know a group of people that does that? It's like Groundhog Day. And if you're surrounding yourself in that environment, that is going to have a serious knock-on effect or governing effect on your growth. And if you want to achieve something, you need to be aware of that, first of all, and you need to break out of it, second of all, because that's going to sabotage everything in your wealth building. It's going to suck the life out of you to the point where it's going to sabotage how you spend your money. Does that make sense? Because it's going to dictate to you how to spend your money, because you're going to not buy something that's going to make you grow. You're going to buy something that's going to make you just stagnate. And that's essentially what this guy was doing. His financial situation, and I'll tell you a little story. He basically ran a big business over here. He ran a big business over here, and his it was a cheese and egg factory or something. And what happened is it went into, he sold the business off, done very, very well, walked away with about £2.5 million, okay? And got the £2.5 million, went over to Portugal, blew it all, got nothing to show for it whatsoever. So he now is struggling to get by. He's trying his hand at cryptocurrencies, trying his hand at this and that and the other. And what's happening now is he would rather be in this struggling situation just so he can relate to people, because he had it all. And the way to ease that depression is to surround yourself with people who just, are now in that down and out and in a rut, okay? So there's lots of people that love talking about negative situations, and that's really what I wanted to talk about in tonight's show. So many of you know a crowd like that, I take it. Some of you have said yes. Now, the difficult thing is have you ever tried to give these people advice? Have you ever tried to give these people advice and struggled to give them advice? Because you don't want to tell them or try and help them because you feel like you're going to come across condescending, or you're going to come across, you're not going to connect with them in a way, and they're going to take it the wrong way, and it might be someone you care about. But when you try and explain to them what's best for them, you fear that they're going to take it the wrong way, they're going to blow up, or you're going to sound like an idiot, or you're going to sound like you're talking down to them, or that you know best. So what you end up doing is avoiding the conversation. You avoid it whatsoever, and it makes it very difficult to talk. It makes it very difficult to connect in those kind of situations. So there's two types of people. There's the people that go after what they want, and then there's the people who don't. There's action takers who go and who go and get after what they want. And then there's the people that plod along and they think, well, I don't want to listen to anyone, and I don't want to do anything that's going to make me feel uncomfortable when I talk to other people because they're depressed and I want to fit in their gang. And it is a life sucker of a situation. So I just wanted to talk about that for a bit, because when I was talking to this guy in Portugal, I realised that this guy had 2.5 million at some point, and now he's got nothing. But not only has he got nothing, he's very unlikely to go forward and get it back because of the rut that he's got himself in. But he also had this attitude like life is kind of happening to him. Who knows someone who feels like life's happening to them, like they don't have control of their life, they just go through motions, and each and every day they feel like it's happening to them. Oh, here's life again, this is happening to me again. That's not the way to get results. That's not the way to live. So it's a very toxic situation to be in. It's a very toxic environment to be in. And the best thing that you can do is always focus on what you can control and start getting your way out of that if you are in that situation. But if you're in that environment and you know that you're not destined for that, you need to get out of it. You need to get out of it. I remember moving away. I moved about 26 miles away just to get away from an environment like that. So that's kind of where this guy was. Anyway, I thought I'd talk about that because that led on to spending and how it influences spending decisions, okay? Because this guy was now spending his money not like he used to. He was spending it in a way that just limited him from going anywhere. All right? So what I want to talk about is your expenses, because you did the 10 questions and one of those things was your ideal living costs. All right? Now, I want to give you some tips on lifestyle costs, because when people are trying to build wealth and trying to achieve financial freedom, a massive part of that comes into living costs. And lots of people need to start there, but they don't know how. So, as I said, I went through the 10 questions. What I want to talk about is this concept of stopping the bleeding, because the first thing you need to do to get out of this rut, the guy in Portugal needs to do this, many people I talk to need to do this, and it's the first thing. It's not a case of waiting until you've got this lucky money coming in from somewhere that's never going to come anywhere, or you have this lucky windfall or anything like that. It's a case of doing it now, taking control right now. And we call it stop the bleeding. So think about this concept. If you came home and your house was flooding and the flood was up to your knees, you wouldn't stand there. If the water's filling up and there's all water gushing out, you wouldn't stand there ringing the insurance company. What you would do is you would look for the stopcock and you would try and isolate the stopcock and stop the water, stop the flooding before you start moving forward. And that's the same with your spending. All right, I told you guys about the millionaire and the paper boy. This is something that millionaire did, and it started to turn his life around. Unfortunately, he became quite clinically ill because of the situation we was in, but he started to do this. And it's an initial process. There's two processes when it comes to your personal finances. The first is what I call the 3 I's: recognize, prioritize, and optimize, right? And that's the process I want to share with you here. And then later on, we can go something what I call the 3 8's, which is segregate, coordinate, and automate. And I'll talk you through that maybe in next week. But this is a challenge for you guys, and I want you to work through this. And it's a little challenge that you guys can do. And it's in 2 steps. The first step is to go and print out 12 months of your bank statements. And the reason you have to print 12 months is because it will pick up all of the one-offs, like the MOT, the vet bill that you paid, the insurance renewal, things like that. When you might not necessarily see those things initially, you won't take them into consideration as a monthly cost. So by getting the 12 months allows you to divide up those 12 months and see what your realistic what your realistic expenses are, okay? So definitely want to do that. And then the next phase is to, once you've got all that printed out, is to categorize all the spending. So you want to look at things like food, eating out, coffee, confectionery, gym, fitness, health, all of that kind of stuff, shopping, rent, and you want to itemize that and categorize it in that way so that you know what allocation goes to what and what your largest costs are and what your smallest costs are. The second phase of this is that's part of the recognize phase. The second part is, for 30 days, I challenge you to track your spending, but you don't change your lifestyle, okay? So you can use a couple of apps here. One's called Yolt, W-O-L-T, and one is called Money Dashboard. And they will actually link to your bank and track the allocations that you're spending. Or you could do it manually. You can just write these down and figure it out yourself. But essentially what you want to do is don't change your habits. If you go to get the $4 coffee or the £3 coffee or whatever, don't stop because you're tracking your life. Actually just do it, pay for it, make a note of it, of what you've bought. And then after the 30 days, you look at it and you analyze it, okay? And what it's going to do is throw up some hotspots. And there's going to be some hotspots in the 12-month bank statements that you got, and there's going to be some hotspots in your spending. The hotspots in the 12-month bank statements might be the gardeners or the cable bill, the Sky bill, the vet bill, or something that you didn't realize that it costs that much. Trips to the garage to get little confectionery or, tiny little things that add up to a massive amount. They're going to come up and flag up as a red flag. They're going to be things that you didn't necessarily know cost that much. The hotspots that are going to come from tracking your lifestyle for 30 days are things like the coffees and all that kind of thing that you think, wow, I just thought I had a coffee a day, but actually it's $250 over the month or whatever. Those are going to be hotspots. All right? So everyone's with me so far. Who's up for doing this, by the way? Who's up for doing this, by the way? Life's an invoice. Lone Twitch viewer? I'm sure you're not. I'm sure there's a couple on there. Yes and yes. Good stuff. So you guys are going to get involved. So I'm going to give you some tips. We're going to do this for 30 days. 30 days. And what we're going to do is, once you've got all of those and you've got those categories and you've got those hotspots, we can use a couple of processes here to start prioritizing making savings. Now, some of you might be familiar with the Eisenhower matrix. The Eisenhower matrix looks something like this. So what you do is you categorize your expenses and start with the hotspots, and put them into this matrix. And essentially what you're doing is you're ranking them between what you value most to what's critical. All right? So things like medical insurance will be critical. You might not value it very much, but it will be critical. Things like, I don't know, a cinema or a family event that you do might be very, very valuable, but not critical. Does that make sense? And you want to kind of score them in this way and put them in this matrix. So highly critical to highly valued, less critical, less valued. Anything that's less critical and less valued, literally cancel. Ring them up, cancel the thing, get rid of it, don't do it anymore. Okay? If it's highly valued but less critical, you can consider reducing that cost. You can reduce that cost somehow so that you're reducing your lifestyle costs. So it's valuable to you. Think of ways that you can, let's just say that you've got a business and it's really important in your business to have a fridge stocked with drinks, fizzy drinks or water, or you have nice little things for your team. Well, see if you can do a deal on reducing that cost, but maintaining the value. If it's really, really critical, automate it, negotiate it, or delegate it. Okay, so if it's really critical, see if you can do deals on the actual expense. See if you can negotiate costs on renewals, get the cost down, or just get rid of it out of your life. So delegate it, automate it, and negotiate. If it's really critical and really valuable, obviously you want to keep those things. So you do those last. So this is a great way of prioritizing all of your expenses now you've mapped them out, and then prioritizing how you're going to reduce them or get rid of them. Make sense? That's the first step once you've done this. Hope you're taking notes, because this is going to be a 30-day process and you guys have then got to go and do this. The next phase is going to be prioritizing between what the greatest saving is and how complex that saving is to make. All right? Everyone know what I mean here? So when I'm talking about complexity, there's going to be certain costs that are quite difficult to go and implement. And then there's going to be easy, low-hanging fruits that you can just quickly, you can quickly make a saving. And then there's going to be the greatest saving to the least greatest saving. So again, we want to score those things. And the greatest saving to be made to the lowest saving to be made, and then the maximum complexity to the minimum complexity. So look, here's how I'd approach this. The minimal saving to be made and the maximum saving to be made and the least complexity, obviously you want to get rid of that first. If it's a very big saving and it's not very complex to save, definitely put that first. That's prioritizing in order when you're going to get rid of these costs. All right? Now, if it's a less great saving and less complex, then give that a 2. If it's a great saving, right, and quite complex, give it a 3. And if it's not a great saving and very complex, give it a 4. Because if something's going to take you a long, long time to do for not a lot of savings, then that's going to be last priority, right? Because you don't want to prioritize that. It's going to take a lot of your time, and it's for not a lot of low-hanging fruit. It's not a big reward. So you want to make sure that you prioritize them in this order. So the first one is about categorizing your valued and critical expenses. Now you've got the hotspots. And then the second one is about the actual quantity of saving and the complexity of the saving. So with these two, when you run them through both of these matrices in order, you will come out the other end with a list and a clear list and a clear priority list of what to focus on saving, when, what one to do first, what one to do second, and what one to do last. So just by doing this, guys, will be the first step in you taking full control over your finances. This is the first step. We've discussed mindset in the first episode. Then we went into how to use money. Then we talked about the 10 questions to analyze your situation. Now we're working through those 10 questions. Okay? Now we're working off those 10 questions so we can chip off strategies for each of those things. So by the end of this show series, you're going to have all the tools and all the strategies that you need to go and do it. Sound good? All right. So hopefully that was of value. That half hour went real quick. That just leaves competition time. Wahey. So first of all, congratulations to Richard Ashton, who won last week. Each week we're going to be giving away one of these hoodies and some other goodies that we decide to throw your way. Last week, Richard Ashton won. All you have to do to win the competition is be here during competition time, be commenting, share the show, tag me in a post, just be engaging in the show, be an ambassador of the show, and we'll nominate someone for a free hoodie. I hope it fits you, Richard. I hope it looks good on you. I'm sure it does. I think you got a white one. So the winner of this week, who was someone who was commenting, engaging, sharing my show, commenting on the post last week, here during competition time, is Julianne Muldoon, well done. Congratulations for winning. You'll have a hoodie, brand new, always free hoodie on the way to you. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being a viewer, a supporter of the show. And we want to show our appreciation by sending you a brand new, beautiful hoodie, color of your choice. And thank you very much. Well done. All right, guys, so that just leaves us to say, don't surround yourself with people who are going to hold you back. Don't get stuck in a rut and stagnate in that limiting conversational loop that goes round and round, or be aware of it. Go and monitor your expenses. Print out 12 months of your bank statements. And then go and monitor your lifestyle for 30 days. The apps you can use are Yolt, Money Dashboard. There's many others, but those are the two that I'd recommend. Link them to your bank account. Go and live as normal. Spend the money as normal. Buy the coffee as normal. And then let me know in 30 days, what was eye-opening to you? What were the hot spots? Run them through those matrices, and I promise you, you'll be in full control of your finances. It will be empowering for you. So that's it for another week, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed it. Until next week, have a great rest of your day and weekend, and I'll see you then.